the Upshot, Multi-World Disc Golf's podcast about the latest in the disc golf world. I'm the editor, Charlie Eisenhood. Joining me, Josh Mansfield, on this Wednesday, May 21st. A little bit off kilter this week with the scheduling. Just doing one show, bridging the gap between the Cascade Challenge this past weekend and the upcoming Konopiste Open and the start of the European swing. Now, this is not like the full-fledged European swing, Josh. Lots of Americans will still be over here stateside through the next couple of tournaments, but we will start to see some players head over and should see some very exciting European disc golf action with the full European field together for the first time. Lots to get to on that. But Josh, first I got to say, obviously I'm not at home. I'm in Washington. I did not attend the Cascade Challenge, sadly, but the College Ultimate Frisbee Championships are happening this week. It's tried and true time for you to pick a team to root for.
Man, it's too bad that I picked a law school that has an ultimate team that doesn't play in the collegiate finals, or collegiate championship.
And BYU is good.
I know. That would be an easy pick for me. Okay, well, now I need help, Charlie.
Well, do you just want to do Utah is there?
Oh, Utah's there. Is Utah any good?
I can't give you that. I can't.
Okay, so Utah's there.
They're not going to win.
Okay.
Maybe they can make the bracket.
All right. Let's see. What about Virginia?
No, nobody from Virginia, I don't think.
No one from University of Virginia. Okay. Okay, who else you got?
Let me just give you. Do you want to root for a team that can win?
Yes, but I also don't want chalk.
Okay. Western options would be Colorado and Oregon.
Oh, Oregon easy. Oregon's an easy pick then. That's fun. I can root for the Ducks.
Great. Oregon is the number 2 seed.
Okay.
It is not chalk to pick them. I think that they are probably percentage-wise, probably maybe 4th or 5th on the favorites list.
Perfect.
Despite being the 2 seed. So you're doing fine there. On the women's side, Western options are UBC, Colorado, and Oregon. You could root for Oregon on both sides if you wanted to roll with
that makes
Ducks.
it easy. Let's just go
All
Ducks this week. We'll just do that.
All right, there you go. Lock in. For those who are Ultimate Frisbee curious, we'll be doing an enormous amount of streaming this weekend, a little bit free on YouTube. And if you if you are a Multi-World Disc Golf subscriber, you can bump up your subscription to the next level and you can take in all the action. It's super fun. We just had the D3 college championships, Josh. Lewis and Clark beat Middlebury in the men's division. Wesleyan beat Haverford and Bryn Mawr in the women's division. Lewis and Clark made a incredible catch at the back line, diving out of bounds, toe line.
I
Number
saw
one
that
on Sports Center. You see it on Sports Center?
Yes, I did see it on Sports Center. Yes.
Yeah.
I also follow a couple Ultimate socials because I keep track of the UFA.
Mm-hmm.
And so I get things in my algorithm.
You get the algo, yeah.
Yeah. I will say I struggle to enjoy enjoy other formats as much as I enjoy the UFA.
I understand that.
Yeah, we've talked about that before, but the UFA really just has done a nice job of kind of eliminating some of the difficult things about being as an entertainment product. And so I find the UFA quite enjoyable to watch, and it makes...
Josh, I'm telling you, in between watching Konopiste this weekend, you just watch a little College Ultimate.
I can do that. I can do that.
It's its own beast. And yes, are there problems? Is it too much time between points? Yes, of course. But the intensity and focus at the highest level is epic. It's epic.
Yeah.
It's really what you wish college disc golf could be, and it just isn't.
Agreed.
Maybe we'll get there someday, but College Ultimate is genuinely awesome to watch.
Yeah.
So I will stop the sales pitch here, and we can talk disc golf.
Listen, at least it's a Frisbee adjacent, right? At least we're not.
Yeah.
I mean, we could be talking about the Knicks stars. They all should be grateful it's just Ultimate.
We did talk some Knicks and stars in our after show for the sub bonus over the weekend. We did talk plenty of Cascade Challenge in our subscriber bonus. We would highly recommend that you get yourself a subscription, check that out, and get ready because we got an onslaught of tournaments coming up. I was just looking at it. We're going to be talking about the schedule today, upcoming, and we do not have a lot of breaks between now and Worlds. There's pretty much something going on every weekend. So we're going to have a lot more subscriber bonus content because we're going to be reacting to tournaments like every weekend. So great time to sign up and great time to catch up on everything Cascade Challenge. We're going to do a little bit of a shorter segment on it today, but we do have the whole show that we did over the weekend. What we're going to do today, Josh, let's talk about our top 5 stories from the Cascade Challenge. I'll let you take it right off the top. What's number 1 for you?
Got to be Missy going back to back for me. I think, number 1, she hadn't done that before. It's good field, and she just cooks them with an amazing, spectacular 10:35 rated final round, at least unofficial as of the weekend. Played so well in that final round, and it really brings kind of that clarity and reminder, as if Champions Cup didn't do it for you. We talk a lot about Kristen. We've talked a lot about Holland this season, and rightfully so. Holland has not missed the top 5. She still deserves credit for that. But you cannot write Missy out. And I think at this point in the tournament, in the season, you have to consider that you have a 3-horse race going in for Player of the Year. I don't think there's anybody else who can contend for it. I don't think that, technically they could, but I don't think there is anyone who will. It's going to be one of those 3 players. And I think that it will probably stay close until well into the end of the season before we have a clarified idea of who we think the Player of the Year is going to be. I think Missy's going to keep it close even against Kristen.
Look, Missy 2 wins, Kristen 2 wins, Holland 2 wins, Ella 1 win. At this point, sure, if you want to tell me Kristen's looked the best overall and obviously has played a little bit less, I would hear that. I think it's very obvious that Holland has been the most consistent player week to week. But now with Missy going back to back, it feels like it levels the playing field a lot here. And we could see any kind of number of iterations moving forward. What if Silva gets a couple wins coming up here?
That's true. So
that's what she did last year over in Europe.
Yeah.
And then, it feels like we could have a wide open run into the majors in Europe, which are going to really, I feel like, crystallize the conversation about who's the front runner for Player of the Year.
We're going to talk more about it, but just a little quick preview. Over the course of from June 19th to August 3rd, FPO will have 3 majors that will be clarifying their race, right? So we're talking over the course of essentially just over 2 months, we're going to have 3 FPO majors to contribute to the one that we've already had. And so right then, that's just okay, what's the season like, right? We've got U.S. Women's coming up in less than a month. U.S. Women's we're going to have another major in. And those majors obviously are the tent poles that kind of define Player of the Year races. But it's interesting if at the beginning of the season, or even a couple years ago, if I said, Charlie, it's interesting. Missy's an interesting contender because she's the least consistent of the group of Player of the Year candidates, but she wins when it's big, right? That's not how we describe Missy Gannon. Missy Gannon's been the pinnacle of consistency, right? Not flashy, just steady, does well. But Holland and Kristen are both more consistent than Missy is right now. But Missy wins when the stage is the biggest. And so it feels weird that that's what we're saying about Missy as opposed to Holland. It's going to be a fascinating FPO race, and I'm excited to see how these majors kind of shake things up.
What a performance from Missy this weekend, though. Just shutting it down in the final round. Super impressive. And I feel like she's locked her game back in. And I think you have to expect her to win at least another tournament or 2 before the season is over, given the form that she's been in. FPO is in a great spot right now. I know the field isn't super deep in terms of people who can win on any given weekend, but it's the 6 to 8 players at the top have improved noticeably over the last 3 or 4 years. to the point where it's just like great television every week.
It is. It is. And there isn't a huge gap in that group either, right? I really feel like that group has the most parity. I mean, you think back, Paige used to just be levels above even Katrina Allen, and then the rest of the field, there's massive, massive gap. Just different.
Take a look at these graphics of the winner so far this season from Reed as we transition to my number 2 storyline from the Champions Cup, and that's AB back in the winner's circle. Our winners in MPO this season, we've now got 4 new winners in a row. Nicholas, Gannon, Isaac, AB, the last 4 events. Nicholas, the only player to win multiple tournaments this season. Do we need to start talking about parity era again?
I didn't want to say it because we did that and then it felt wrong.
But then like it wasn't a thing last year at all because Gannon was so unbelievable.
The opposite of parity era last year.
And now it's, you know, I mean, I know it's early still, but no, all of these players have looked solid, right?
Yeah.
At least at certain events. We're not seeing like random winners. Like literally all of these people besides Ezra had won before, and Ezra was probably the closest to winning a tournament that didn't win one last year. Right?
By rating,
like, it wasn't surprising that he won. So it just feels like it's kind of right now, it feels like any given weekend again. It's interesting to see that, especially because we were just preparing ourselves for more Gannon dominance, and it hasn't showed up. And I'm starting to see people like be like, oh, he's right around the corner. You know, he's right there. And like in some ways it's true because statistically he is showing up as like the best player this season. The problem is that his putting is not there, and it's been a real issue that's been holding him back from getting wins. And like, when is that going to get fixed? So I'm pretty curious about that. I mean, he's still been the best player tee to green this season, and I'm sure he's going to do plenty more winning this year. But it's not like he doesn't have the chokehold over the division like he did last year.
Better be careful, Charlie. You're going to get this podcast overlaid on an Instagram reel of his that says like, yeah, Gannon doesn't have a chokehold on the field this year, and then it's just going to be like Northwest Challenge.
Yeah, he's going to start ripping them off.
Preserve, both majors in Europe. It's just like 6 events in a row,
and it doesn't feel like that's implausible. Like,
no, it doesn't. It doesn't feel likely either, but it is definitely still in that realm of possibility.
But anyway, back to AB. Back to AB. I said this in the reacts, but just like the ability for AB to win on a course like this, that's a heavily wooded track where he's both showing off just like pure woods control, but also like the creativity to take unconventional lines and use his power to get birdies in ways where like maybe they're going to have to change hole 11 because of the way that he played it. But like, it's such a risk reward choice already. Like, do they even need to? I think like this is just the kind of course where you would never have imagined a player like him winning 2 or 3 years ago even. And now he's just leveled up his game so much that it's not just like a raw power player anymore. Like, one of his best attributes is his control on fairway shaping in the woods now with slower discs. And it's been awesome to watch his trajectory as a player because he has like taken the power and turned it into an asset in other facets of the game by being able to slow down his disc speed choices. And other people are throwing fairways, and he's throwing putter.
Yep. Charlie, I've been thinking a lot since the reacts. You made the comment. You said AB's one of those guys now, which we never would have said, which you mentioned here, who can win on any course. And that is not something we'd ever use to describe AB. It's also a very, I think, exclusive club. So my question to you, Charlie, if you had to make a list right now of players who you think could win on any course, any week of the season, who do you think gets that nod?
Gannon.
Yep.
Isaac. AB. I still put Ricky in the category. I know he hasn't been playing that good, but you have to give him the respect of that he's earned over these many years. I'm not there with Nicholas. Not quite.
No, he hasn't. He still has some distance limitations.
Can I squint and say Paul? Paul was that guy for a long time.
He was. I'm not talking about.
He's looked super solid this season overall, but obviously hasn't been finishing. I still think you probably put Paul in the category of someone who's capable of winning on any course, even if he has been not winning as much.
I want you. Well, that's an understatement. Not winning as much, meaning hasn't won in 2 years. Like, hold on. It has. You have to be capable. Both. Like, I'm not asking you for well-rounded players, right? There's a difference in this question. It's not who is a well-rounded game for lots of tracks. It's who can win on any course, or who like this season might win in a variety. Paul can't be on that list.
I exclude Macbeth. Okay. And maybe I exclude Rick because he hasn't been doing it.
That's fair. Rick has a more proven and recent track record of winning though on every course.
Sure.
Right.
But I think Paul's been the better player this season.
That's fair.
I stand by it. I keep Paul in the category.
Crazy. Okay.
I do. So I think I gave you the list.
That's your list.
Am I forgetting anybody?
Let me ask you two. I've got two people who I want to know. Number one, what do you say about Calvin?
Yes.
Okay.
Oversight.
Okay. Kyle Klein.
He's in the Macbeth category of playing well but not winning. So, I don't know.
Well, I think it's funny because you say that.
No, Kyle, no.
Kyle has wins more recent than Macbeth does.
I understand, but
okay.
Macbeth's been better than Kyle this season, right?
Okay.
I mean, what's the current?
And actually, I don't know. Kyle might not have wins more recent. Let's see. When did he win last? Yeah, he won USDGC after Paul, but the same year Paul won PCS. So he does have more recent wins, but both come from 2023.
Oh, I have one more player for you. Adam Hammis.
Interesting.
It's like a little questionable.
You cannot leave. Okay, so are you leaving Kyle off because of his winning or because you don't think he has a well-rounded game that is suitable to every course?
Winning.
Then you cannot put Adam Hammis on here.
Why? He's been that good this season. I never would have put him in this list in the past. He's been so solid this year.
Well, I mean, he was solid, and now he's kind of.
I know he had a bad Kansas City, whatever. Then he was back in 5th place at the major.
Yeah,
and he didn't play good this past weekend, but it's not like he can't play in the woods.
Okay, all right. I will let you have Adam Hammis. I think I see your point. I think the inclusion. I think the inclusion of Macbeth.
Truly narrow list, the truly I believe they could win in any given weekend. And
you would put money on any on them winning on any given week.
This is my answer for the narrow list. It's Calvin Gannon, AB, Isaac. That's the narrow list.
No Ricky.
No, not right
now.
Wow.
You have a trip and hockey tickets to Salt Lake banking on the guy you just left off that list. I feel so good right now.
Wait, yeah. How many people do I have a bet on to win now? I am betting on Calvin and Rick, right?
We've got Calvin and Rick, yeah.
Okay.
You've got Calvin winning a major this year.
Calvin 9-1.
You've got Rick winning a major, and you've got even odds on Rick winning a major by 2027.
Okay, right. I made that last year, right?
I think we're 2 years in now.
Maybe
I think we made this 2 years ago. Yeah.
2027 I have until? Come on, he's going to do it by then.
You just left it off your list.
Well, but I mean, that's a different... You said any course. I'm not saying Rick can never win. Let's move on.
All right.
It's a good exercise. I get your point.
Yeah, it was fun. It was fun. All right.
Good to see Barella winning again. He may not be your ride or die in the top 5, but he's going to be delivering wins. Love to see him back up there. Number 3, Cascade Challenge storyline.
Yes, easy for me. I've got to eat crow. This course delivered way better than I thought it was going to. I will be honest. I saw the initial clips from the match play, and I made the comment, and I stand by the comment for those 2 holes that it looked like we were playing on a KOA. I also have a distinct memory of logging in for back when it was a silver 2 years ago, and logging in and James Conrad like standing on a gravel road and just throwing a shot down a gravel road. And I'm like, what is this like redneck disc golf that we are playing where we're just off like throwing it around a campground and just like making up spots where we want to throw to? Like it felt like a safari golf on a campground is what it felt like at the time. And I remember I didn't watch too much of it, and so I know that I've been biased, but it just so happens that the leadoff clips of everything that I've watched looked terrible. I was not excited for this event. I was not excited for this course. I did not think it was going to be as good as it was. It still is not. I stand by the fact it is not like it's in a second tier in terms of like beautification and looks compared to other Pacific Northwest courses. Northwest Challenge was going to be amazing. I stand by courses in Idaho and Montana that are just beautiful. And so I don't think that it is quite as nice, but it delivered in woods golf. The lines were easy to see. It made sense when there was a good shot. Most of the holes had good and easy contextualization from the course design that helped me understand the quality.
They really made this course pro level.
They did. It was an excellent pro level course. And I would have no problems with this being back on tour and having OTB, Cascade, Northwest as our West Coast swing every single year. I think it was phenomenal.
Yeah. I think it's unless and until there's a better course that sets up suitably for, spectators, media, all the other things that you need to have at a pro tour event, perfectly fine. And like appropriate to the area in terms of like the challenge of the course. A little aside, I was in Bellingham, Washington last night. Cornwall Park, was walking through there. Awesome little 9-hole disc golf course. And if you're ever in Bellingham, I think bring a putter or two and come out and play that. I wish I had one with me. I was with some friends with little kids, so it wouldn't have been a realistic thing to do. But beautiful little course in like the old growth forests of upper Washington state. Just spectacularly beautiful. Like I when I come to the West, I'm always just like in awe of how much more beautiful I find it than like the East Coast forests and mountains. It's just it's bigger country out here.
It is.
Number 4 storyline at the Cascade Challenge. Is Paige Pierce back? I mean, it's starting to feel like when you see, it hasn't been that many tournaments. Okay. So like, I don't want to get too crazy here, but I feel like I'm seeing Paige starting to turn the corner in terms of her competitive fire and just straight up disc golf execution. I know she didn't win this weekend, but to see her back up in, a tie for second in this case on the podium, and like looking like she's a little more focused than we've seen her at many points over the past like 2 or 3 years at this point. Pretty cool. I mean, like very solid tee to green. She's always been one of the best Circle 2 putters on tour. She's, just like all around played quite well. Now, this is not an OB heavy course. I think maybe she tends to get a little more trouble when she's playing on open bomber courses and gets too aggressive and goes OB a lot. But I think it's good to see her looking like she's kind of in more control in the woods again. And the bigger thing for me is like the mentality starts to feel like we're seeing championship level Paige coming again.
Yeah.
And I don't know if she's ever going to reach the highs of previous points in her career, but I think if she plays with focus once again, we might start seeing her up at the top on a regular basis. It's not like she can't play 1,000 rated disc golf week in and week out. I mean, she basically did that in 2019, 2020, 2021.
Yep.
So even if she's not beating Kristen regularly, or she's like, loses to Holland in a playoff or whatever, like we could see Paige be relevant again. And she really hasn't been relevant on tour for 2 years now.
Yeah. Well, since she lost 2021 Worlds?
It feels like that's the turning point, right?
I mean, I know she has wins since then, but we talked about it a lot on the Reacts. Like that felt like the moment that changed everything. Charlie, let me ask you. You have to pick who wins first. Paige Pierce, Paul McBeth.
I think I still got to say Paul.
I think you're right. I don't know when Paige. Let's take a look at Paige's schedule, but Paige might have the benefit, depending on kind of what the scheduling looks like, of a lighter, like MPO does not get affected when Europeans leave nearly as much, right? Nicholas leaves, that's a problem.
Fair point.
But Paul's still playing against the full field. Paige gets to play against a little bit of a lighter field. We've got, it looks like Discmania Challenge probably is the only one. Kristen's not coming back for Northwest Challenge, is she?
I want to say she is.
Is she? I know she's coming back. Let's see. No, she's not. She's not registered for Northwest.
She's not registered. Interesting.
So I think Paige has, I mean, so that means you've got no Europeans registered for, at least, not the big four, I guess is what you want to say. Right. And so Paige gets the benefit of a lighter field for several events over the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, she's going to be the 6th or 7th highest rated player in the field.
Exactly. And that's different from Paul, who's not going to get that benefit unless he goes over to Europe sooner.
That's an excellent point, like a relative. But I guess I'm just looking at their golf game right now.
Oh, I agree that I think Paul is closer to the winner's circle in terms of golf game. Yeah, I don't disagree with that.
What's your number 5?
Yeah, last one. Speaking of people who are kind of coming back, MVP has to be very pleased with their weekend. The Crush Boys had a nice showing. Probably this has to be the best Crush Boys collective showing since they reunited MVP, yeah? Can you think of an example that would be
like when they both played well together on the same week? I mean, the problem is that Eagle hasn't really been playing great.
Yeah, right.
I can't say with any certainty that that's true, but it certainly feels like it could be true.
Right. I think that's a big point, is that it definitely feels like that is the case. Great to see. I mean, it's interesting because you've got two guys just on massive deals, and like I know I don't want to get back into I know that they are moving plastic, right? I know Simon sells discs. I get that, but it cannot be easy to have multiple millions of dollars tied up in a couple of players every year, and a 2nd and a 6th place. Like they've got to be happy just to have that kind of coverage again from them, right? To have them on the lead cards, to have them playing well, to have your very, very, very expensive sponsored players be up near the top again.
Yeah. Well, I don't think MVP is stressed out at all, to be honest.
No, they're selling discs.
I mean, they're the hottest brand in the sport.
Yes.
And they've had the hottest drops for a while.
Yeah.
And, tides can turn, for sure.
Yep.
But, they've been coming out with innovative disc concepts that, sparkle glow or whatever the hell they call it. Like, these things get people excited. And obviously the Simon Halo effect, there's a reason they wanted to go out of their way to pay him.
Yep.
And it's because he's probably the number one mover of plastic besides Macbeth in the sport. And you said multiple millions. I mean, remember, the Eagles deal is not as big as Simon's.
You're right.
I don't know what it is, but it's not.
It's probably not.
But, overall, they're certainly paying their sponsored pros quite a bit because, but part of the reason they're paying them quite a bit is because they're all selling so many that they have to pay them fat royalties. So, that's a good problem to have. Right. You're not worried about that.
Right. Exactly.
I think, it's hard. They took the risk and they're reaping the reward of rolling the dice on big contracts in a spot where maybe they were, when they made these deals, the sport was humming and things have cooled. But it doesn't feel like their sales have dropped off a cliff and some other brands are dealing with. So yeah, but from a competitive standpoint, I mean, I don't even care about that side of it, to be honest. I want to see Simon and Eagle play well because it's fun when they're playing well.
Agreed.
In the conversation.
Yes.
I want to see Eagle get back to being the Eagle that we knew from a few years ago before the injury. I mean, this guy was he was going to be the next big thing. Yeah. He was going to be the Gannon. He was going to be the AB.
Yep.
And, he was. I mean, for a time there, he was. He was winning multiple tournaments a year. He won back-to-back one season. Mm-hmm. And I just want to see him rediscover that level because it's so much fun to watch him play. Same goes for Simon, who's obviously done quite a bit more winning over the last couple of years. But it's just fun.
It is.
Like,
it is. It's nice
when
to
we're
see
seeing these guys who are, who were huge names 5-10 years ago, getting back into form alongside all of these up and coming, 18, 19, 20-year-olds. It's just fun.
Yep. Sports in a good place, like entertainment competitive wise.
Absolutely. I'm super excited. And what we're going to do next is we're going to talk about the upcoming schedule as we kind of get into the second phase of the season and we kick off the European swing. So stay with us, breaking it down the Konopiste Open and the Road to Worlds right after this. The Upshot is presented by Pound Disc Golf, makers of the best bags in the sport. Pre-orders for the new 2025 all redesigned Octos are still coming in. They're going to start shipping in just a couple of weeks. They will go out starting in June. So get your orders in for the stock colorways right now. If you don't want to wait, you can go ahead and put yourself in a custom order because they're rolling out these custom Octos week by week. I mean, go over to the Pound Disc Golf Facebook page and check out all of the beautiful bags that they've got coming out of their custom lineup. So awesome. So go over to pounddiscgolf.com, check out all the options, and get the bag of your dreams today. Welcome back to the Upshot. Well, it's time for the start of the European swing. The Konopiste Open kicks things off this weekend, and we basically lock in to nonstop back and forth disc golf, US, Europe, US, Europe, US, Europe, the rest of the way up until Worlds. I think our next weekend is the one after the European Disc Golf Festival and before the World starts on Wednesday. So let's take a look at the schedule coming up as we enter phase 2 of the season. Josh, here it is. Konopiste this weekend. Then, of course, we have Northwest Disc Golf Championship. Super excited for that. Got the Ale Open, then Preserve. U.S. Women's gets its own weekend. Discmania Challenge in Iowa. Then the PCS and Krokol. And then European Disc Golf Festival, Worlds, and Turku to close out the kind of primary European swing before everybody comes back over for Ledgestone. What are you most excited for on this stretch? Besides the majors, let's say.
Sure.
And
sure.
What do you think is going to happen in this chunk of the season?
Well, it's interesting, Charlie, because we used to talk about the season in 4 phases, right? Champions Cup was typically happening in like early or mid-April. So we had like the early season, and then you switched to like West Coast with a couple Midwest, but primarily defined by West Coast. And then you had like Europe, and then kind of like tail into the season and like Midwest. It was different. It was odd to talk about a little bit. I think that it's much more clarified now into 3 phases. You have phase 1, which goes up until Champions Cup. Phase 2 is the Midwest, like is like the US European back and forth. And as players migrate more and more over to Europe, it's less about like, it's no longer like, oh yeah, there you have the stretch that is European plus Ledgestone plus Idlewild. Like that's how it used to be in that 3rd phase, is you would give it Europe plus a couple of other US based events that felt like it had that particular importance. But now it really feels, once Champions Cup's over, we have phase 2, which runs all the way until we come back for Ledgestone. What are the things that I think highlight and headline those? Obviously, you mentioned we have both the European majors as well as the US Women's Disc Golf Championship. I think we're also going to be seeing, and this is going to be headlined by some really, really prominent courses, and especially very popular European courses. Konopiste Open has been home to majors in the past. I mean, come on, it's on the property of a castle. Like no other disc golf course gets to claim that. It's so cool. You have PCS, you have Krokol, like classics, staples, and beautiful European courses that have been just amazing additions to the tour. On the other side, you get to pair it with newer courses. I mean, past 5 years, but courses that have rapidly developed in popularity. Obviously, you still have Milo MacGyver, which is a staple of the tour and of professional disc golf for decades. But you now get to pair that with, oh my gosh, I can't believe I just forgot. Glendevere, thank you. You get to pair that with Glendevere, a rising star among the Disc Golf Pro Tour. One of my favorite courses on tour now. Can't believe I forgot the name. So you pair it with Glendoveer. You have the Preserve as well, and then you've got the Discmania Challenge out in Illinois. I mean, just courses that were introduced post COVID and kind of during COVID and have really gotten a good hold on the tour. And I think it's just this is what a time for courses over the next couple of months.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome. I mean, I remember talking maybe last year about how great the European courses are, and kind of like talking about how I prefer them in general to the US courses. And somebody emailed in and was like, hey, look, like, it's not totally fair because they're playing like the 4 or 5 best courses in all of Europe on the tour.
Sure.
And, in the US, they're playing 20 courses. So it's not apples to apples. Like, if you only played Maple Hill and Northwood Black and,
GMC,
whatever, pick your favorites,
yeah,
right? Like,
yeah.
Then it would maybe feel similar. But I don't know. There's a level of beauty and it's like sort of epicness to these European courses that we don't often get in the US. And so I'm just super excited for that. I also like being able to get up in the morning and watch disc golf, right? First thing in the morning on the East Coast. I just think it's also just a nice change of pace. It's like different voices in the booth.
Yeah.
It's, like Esapeka's back, baby.
Esapeka. You want to know what I'm most excited for? Esapeka in the booth.
And it's just, I don't know, like the scenic drone shots are more fun when it's like fjords instead of parking lots. Like, sorry. I just think like, if you're not watching the European disc golf, you're really missing out on a great part of the season, even though, like, admittedly, for much of it, it's not as competitively interesting.
Sure.
But there's just something so enjoyable about watching and learning about the up and coming top players in Europe who are not necessarily touring in the US.
To your point,
where's Maury Villman?
Sure.
Where's his game at right now? Right. He's the second highest rated player in the MPO field this weekend, behind Nicholas. And I'm really excited to see if he can like take the leap and start like winning these Pro Tour events with stronger players in the field. Lauri Lehtinen is back. He came back. We were talking about this a week ago, 2 ago. He wins the A tier in kind of dominant fashion. And I mean, he was like the heir apparent next big name out of Europe. And then he goes through this like super difficult, like mental struggles on the putting green and like basically quits for a while. Now he's back. How's he going to hold up to Pro Tour pressure? And can he continue to show that he's got all the skills to be a winner on tour? Then you've got all these names down the board, the Rasmuses and all the various guys that we see pop off at like European Open. But now you can watch them for months before we get to the majors. I'm just super excited to kind of see these guys play because European disc golf has come so far that now it feels like a very serious part of the tour, to the point where like we're going to keep expanding, I think, on this side of the pond, and people are going to start taking longer and longer trips. Remember Mick Beth, who has often been a trendsetter,
yes,
right, came over for like 6 to 8 weeks, 3 years ago now, and basically skipped a huge chunk of the U.S. tour to play over in Europe, and we're starting to see some of that, right? Like, I don't know how much bouncing back and forth people are going to be doing. But there are some European players, U.S. players, I should say, in the field, Ezra Aderhold, Paul Ulibarri, playing this coming weekend. At least they're registered. So we'll see if they decide to fly over and then come back to play Northwest.
I want to add as well, you talked about like highlighting European players. I want to give you a really easy, tangible example of a player who we first found thanks to a European swing, who now is a prominent staple on tour. Silva Saarinen. 2 years ago, Silva was cleaning the silver event. Remember, because they had the slate of silver events over in Europe before they fully brought over Pro Tour events. Silva won like 7 events in a row. Like, she beat a bunch of like Kristen records about playing in Europe and like was just cooking people over there during the tour. And we're like, dang, I don't know if. And then she came over and she played okay. And we're like, okay, well, maybe. But you see the flashes, right? You see the potential with how she's playing over in Europe. And then she's just gotten better and better. And now a staple and one of we talked about her and being one of those players at the top of the FPO field now. that's a perfect example of the development of like for European professional game and creating access points for those players to play on the Disc Golf Pro Tour, right? It's not that they wouldn't have a good professional scene without the Pro Tour, but it's about creating access to the biggest point of the tour and of the highest stage of professional disc golf, both in Europe, and more consistently in Europe than they have in the past. And so a big fan of that. Charlie, if I had to ask you, who do you think, and you can include the majors in this discussion, who do you think is going to emerge as the successors of the phase 2 or the victors of phase 2, right? So FPO, they have 3 majors. MPO's got 2. You still have Northwest Challenge, which is a DGPT plus. So you got both sides of the pond, players kind of jumping around. Who do you think is going to come out and you say these are the 2 that won the
second
phase 2 of the tour? We probably should ask the question who won first phase, to be honest, afterwards and do a recap. But I'll start with I want you to say who you.
Very hard to say who won the first phase.
I think so too.
In both divisions.
I think so too.
Gun to my head, I'd probably say Nicholas and MPO because he got 2 wins.
Sure.
And I think I say Holland and FPO.
Ooh, interesting. I think I say Missy just because she has the major.
But it's recency bias.
She has a major.
Holland has been top 5 in every event.
She has a major.
All right, I don't want to argue about this. Phase 2. I'm going to say Silva.
Okay. Wow. Yeah. Silva.
Yep.
Over Kristen.
Mm-hmm.
With 3 majors on the slot.
I understand.
All right.
I'm rolling the dice.
You're probably right that we shouldn't just say who won the majors.
No. It has to be the whole phase.
It has to be the whole phase.
Thing.
I will accept your Holland answer.
If somebody wins the back-to-back majors, I mean, they're probably going to win the phase. Let's be honest.
If they win 2 out of the 3 majors.
Kristen's obviously the odds-on pick here because she's going to be in Europe a bunch, and she's going to be the favorite to win those majors. But I don't know. I'm just telling. I feel like Silva was on the brink.
Okay.
And people are over-extrapolating a couple of bad shots down the stretch at Music City.
You're right.
The meaning that she's can't close. And I know she's lost in
what other?
dramatic
She did
fashion.
it at another event.
She did it. Well, she did it, of course, back at GMC.
Yeah, I think wasn't she in the lead at Texas, somewhere in Texas as well?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to lie to you and say that she hasn't been a great closer.
Sure.
But look at the results since Austin: 4th, 2nd, 4th.
Okay. Yeah. I mean,
and
right.
It took heroic shot making from Kristen to win. And did Silva make some mistakes? Yeah, she did. She got a little tight. She doesn't have a utility forehand, and that's a painful thing. She missed some putts, down the stretch. But I just feel like she's right there. It's not like her level is way below Kristen. She is really playing that well. And she's going to be really confident, I think, playing in Europe, where she's, dominated last year, as you pointed out.
Yeah.
So that's my pick on FPO side. On the MPO side, so hard. I think I'm going to say Gannon.
Okay.
I'm just going to that's boring, but that's just what I think.
Okay. All right. Tell you what, I probably gun to my head pick Gannon, but I think I have another take. I want Nicholas. Nicholas has been remarkably close at a lot of majors. He's very good at majors. And for him to have 2 opportunities in Europe, I would not be, and he's going to be playing with a lighter field. He could win a couple DGPT events and then jump over and win one of the 2 majors. And that's right there. That probably wins him this phase. I would not be, I could totally see Nicholas walking away with 2+ wins over the stretch easily. And I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility that he wins 3. The course is shortened a little bit. Granted, there are still some long ones, but they've tended to shorten a little bit in Europe. Not by much, but enough that I think it makes a difference for him. And he's very, very good at the majors. And as the only 2-time winner in the season, I just think he's got a really good opportunity here to just thrive and get his first major here in Europe.
I think if he can withstand the pressure of playing at home, basically, he certainly could.
FPO though, yeah, sorry, I'll go boring. I'll take
He's
Kristen.
Going boring.
Listen, 3 majors and 2 of them are on her home turf. Like, I get nervous. I still just am a touch nervous about Holland at majors, and we'll see. I want to pick Missy, but like you flip back over to Europe, and I don't think Missy's played particularly well. I'd have to go double check, so don't anybody come for me yet. But I'll have to double check. My gut is that Missy doesn't play well at the Beast, and traditionally has not. Again, complete gut check, and I'll have to go look at it. And as we get closer,
I'm gonna check your gut right now.
We're checking now. Okay, all
right. She's only been to Europe twice.
Maybe that's it. She hasn't gone as often.
She went 3rd and 3rd at the European Open the last 2 years, and of course, she won the European Disc Golf Festival.
Right. That's true. I forgot about that. Yeah, give me Kristen.
So I think your gut is wrong.
My gut is wrong. My gut's dead wrong. I'm still picking Kristen, but my gut is wrong. But I will still stand by my Kristen pick. So I want Kristen and Nicholas. Give me the 2 Europeans to win phase 2.
Yeah, fair. Let's see. I wanted to just note about Konopiste. Now, they didn't play this last year. Last time they played it was 2023. Before that, they hadn't played it since the 2018 major. So they're bringing it back. It's right outside of Prague. And as you mentioned, it's got the castle. Okay, the castle's from the 13th century. It was the last home of the Archduke Franz Ferdinand, who got assassinated in 1914, which sparked World War I.
Yeah.
Like, this is Europe, man. Like, it's just got the depth and the history that just makes stuff more interesting. What a crazy place.
But Charlie, do they give out guitars if you win?
We'll see what they give out. I don't remember. Maybe they give you a giant, buck head mounted on a thing with huge antlers. That's the logo, right?
I thought you were gonna make a joke like a World War I like bayonet or something.
Hopefully not. Just love the fact.
It's also gorgeous. It's amazing.
And this is I'm stealing this right out of the preview from Justin Westball that's up on Ultra Disc Golf. Remember, this is the course that they played the 2021 Euro Championships at. Evelina had 9-stroke lead going into the final round of the penultimate round, or the final hole of the penultimate round. She 5-putted, triple bogeyed, and then shot a 9 over the next day to finish in 3rd. That's when the yip started. It was this tournament where the yip started.
The ghost of Franz Ferdinand has ruined Evelina's game.
Crazy.
I forgot about that.
Yeah.
Do you, man?
Evelina's not playing this weekend.
Okay.
So we'll have to just hold on to that memory for later. But
she's like, I'm not coming back.
I'm not going back there.
No way.
I know better. I'm not going to re-yip myself.
Don't you need to go to the place where it happened though to conquer it in order to get over it? Isn't that the thing? Charlie, do you remember?
Remember Eagle won his first major as a 20-year-old?
I do remember this.
You remember it was a major, right, Josh?
It was a major, sort of. Man, there's probably a decent number of listeners because when did Eagle win European Open? 2022. Because Ganna won last year, Corey won the year before. So yeah, the year before that, 2021 or 2022.
That was the Macbeth versus Eagle.
The best major showdown.
Unreal. They had shot 1075 averages.
Yeah, since Macbeth and Rick. I could not for the life of me remember that Eagle had a major.
I know, yeah.
It was impossible. And it's so funny because I love this tournament. I go watch, they used to have different coverages, the European Championships, for example. I go watch the coverage for this tournament because I just think it's such a fun course. This is probably Like if I had to pick that I could just like teleport to any course and just get to go play it right now, I probably would pick this one. It's phenomenal.
Wow. All right.
Yeah,
I
I
like
really
it.
think I would.
Coming up later on the stretch, and we'll talk more about these tournaments as they come up, of course. We're going to have Ale Open. Ale, like one of the highest rated courses in the world every year. Then we get PCS again back. Fantastic event.
Yeah.
Love that course. That got, that's the one with the tractor 18th if
Right.
you need a refresher. And then Krokle, which, that's
Number
the
one
Norwegian
course.
one with the fjords and everything else.
Yeah.
And it's just, come on. Like, what a slate.
Yeah.
Leading up into, unfortunately, European Disc Golf Festival, which, like, hopefully they can make some improvements to the course. I'm hopeful.
Yeah. Fingers crossed. But it's the environment around the that event that contributes a lot. Yeah. Konopiste though should be great this weekend.
Should we make some picks?
I think we should probably make some picks.
Now listen, folks. I'm just going to give you a little strategy tip right off the top. If you're not picking 5Xers for the most part here, you're doing it wrong. A 10th place finish for the 4th highest rated player in the field is worth 5 points.
Yep.
You better be really confident if you're going to pick a Nicholas here, because if he wins, then it probably pays off. But you'd be really confident. So just pointing that out. My MPO picks: I'm going Mauri Vilman, I'm going Lauri Lettinen, and I'm going Daniel Davidson. They're all 5X points, and I think they're all top. I think 5 highest rated in the field. I think these guys have shown us something already. Now Lowry is admittedly a little bit of a scary pick, but he's such a strong player, and I feel good having seen that he went out and won that A tier.
Sure.
And Vilman has been one of the best players in Europe for the last 18 months.
Yeah.
So
very good.
I won't be shocked. There's podium upside with all 3 of these guys. And hey, I don't think a win is out of the question.
I don't think so either.
Nicholas will be the favorite, of course, but
he's just not worth picking.
Not a lock.
No. My MPO, I've got Ezra Aderhold, Lauri Lettinen, Jesse Nieminen.
Ezra is a 5Xer, right?
He is a 5Xer, yes.
He just missed.
Yes, he was next one out on the Pro Tour Championships. I think that there's going to be just so drastically less pressure for Ezra this weekend. Like, Ezra could win. Ezra's been playing, he's got himself into winning positions and has melted. And what a better place than just playing around, having a great time in Europe, enjoying a weekend in Prague, and as long as he plays, I think I'm really, really looking forward to it. I'm going to be keeping an eye on registration, make sure he's actually going to be playing.
Right.
I know he's registered, but I'll just definitely be watching that. But yeah, Ezra, that's the benefit. And then, man, Jesse Nieminen, 5Xer, who has DGPT win from Copenhagen last year. Not leaving the guy off who's won in these situations before off my 5X podium. So yeah, give me Jesse.
Noting for people strategically, Vino Makala is a 2Xer.
Yes.
He made the Tour Championship last year.
Does not feel picky.
How about your FPO, Josh?
All right, FPO, I am not taking your strategy as much under advisement. I'm picking Kristen. I'm putting Kristen on my podium. Yes, I recognize that a win from Kristen gets me the same number of points as a top 10 from a 5Xer. Or no, it's not quite. She's 1.25. So I would get a little bit of a bonus there. However, I have no fear of negative points here. Might eat my words, but I'm not losing points, right? I'm going to get something. I'm very confident that I'm going to get something from Kristen. And I just, there's enough craziness over that I just don't know. I've got some other picks, but I would not, some of these other picks and these other players who are playing, I could totally see him just going negative, right? Having a bad weekend, just putting up a stinker. And these leaderboards get shuffled all over the place And so I'd rather just play it safe over an FPO and just go for the guaranteed points. So give me Kristen, give me Silva, who's a 2Xer, and then give me Anakin Sten, who's on my fantasy team and is also a 5Xer. So that's my FPO.
All right. I'm going. I'm leaving Kristen off. I have to say.
I can't there's not enough
I don't feel like it's a lock she's going to win, and if she doesn't win, I don't think it's the right choice. Now,
Fair.
If you feel super confident she's going to win, I get it. But I just got done telling you why I think Silva is going to win this stretch, and I have Silva on my podium.
Okay.
And then I'm taking Katie Altsalu and Katie Tate.
Both are 5Xers, I presume. Yeah,
of course.
Yeah,
and I think that they're almost certainly going to finish top 10. And if they get me a podium, it's hugely beneficial. And
yeah,
God forbid they win, that's massive. 25 points.
25 points if one of them wins. That's that upside. Like, Charlie, you're back in the game if that happens.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
If you screw this up and you pick chalk, I feel like you're just doing it wrong. So listen, if Kristen wins, I think it's almost certainly still better than having somebody top 10, right? By the definition.
Yes.
But only marginally.
Yes.
And if she doesn't win, then you're going to be like, Urgh.
I hear you.
I am rolling the dice a little bit by picking Silva, but like she's at 2x. I feel like it's worth the risk given that I'm pretty confident she's going to podium, and I think she's got a really live chance to win.
Yeah. Yeah, I hear you.
One thing we didn't do, we got to bounce back to Cascade Challenge for Purse Watch.
Yep.
53,435 for MPO, 23,555 for FPO for a total purse of 76,990. That is the smallest purse of the season. However, it's worth noting, it was also the smallest field of the season. And field size directly contributes to purse size.
Yep.
By our more important metric of money per person, it's actually right sort of like in line with other tournaments. It was above SFO and Music City, but below everything else. But in the same ballpark, I'm assuming they hit the minimum added cash of 40K because it was exactly 40K. I imagine that's what the minimum added cash is on tour right now. MPO winner got 10,000, FPO winner got 6,000, and it was up 159% over 2024.
Sure. Charlie, by note, it was also above Waco. You missed Waco on that list. The reason you missed it is because Waco's in the 400s per person.
You're right.
Waco is still the far and away worst tournament by like
from a payout perspective.
Yeah, by $50, $51 between Waco and the next worst tournament per player.
Yeah. I saw somebody complaining online that the purse was too low this week, but like,
no,
this isn't a normal purse.
It is right in line. It's just about field size. I'm so glad we added that metric of price, or like money per person. I think it's so helpful and clarifying.
I am very excited to see how the European events line up this year.
Hasn't it traditionally been like 20 or 25K added cash requirement?
Yeah, it's definitely been lower.
Yeah,
last year's purses were like around 60K, and most of the US events are around 70, 75 to 85K.
Yeah.
So,
We'll check with field size though.
That's the other thing.
We didn't do that last season. So,
right. All right. Great stuff. Get your picks in over at discgolf.ultiworld.com/upshot-picks. If you're a subscriber, you can make your picks, and it's so much fun. Oh, we should shout out the best pickers from last time around,
because it wasn't us.
I did a little bit better, Josh.
You did do better
at this event. Finally, I picked AB, and that was absolutely huge to have him on the picks. I got 7.5 points in MPO, all from AB. Andrew Marweed didn't work out. Nicholas Antila didn't work out.
Yeah.
I have great logic for my picks. They're just not working this season very much. Over in FPO, I had Missy. That was solid. Got 5 points from there. We both, you actually did quite well in FPO, picking Holland, Missy, and Rebecca.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like
Rebecca almost really crushed it.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. But
Josh took a fat 0 in MPO, though.
I had
1
Eagle
point for
instead of-
Gannon, -1 for Adam Hammonds, 0 for Nicholas.
I had Eagle. I would have been at 3 instead of 0 if I'd picked Eagle. Doubted myself.
Shout out to Dubcon, Lofts, Fitch, and Scott for finishing with 12.25 points in FPO. I think they all had identical picks. No, not quite. Page was the key pick. He was worth 6 points. In MPO, it was Fitch, Normie, and Hoke. What a weekend for Fitch. Top scorer this week. They all got 11.25 with identical podiums. Ricky, Ezra, Simon. So obviously having Simon was an important one this week. So nice job. But clearly a difficult tournament to predict. No one had a monster week.
Yeah.
All right. That's going to do it for our only show this week. Thank you so much for tuning in. We'll be back with you on Sunday. It might be a little bit of an abridged show. I'm going to be, no, I think it'll be fine.
Okay.
I think it'll be fine.
I'm chilling.
Just looking ahead to my schedule. It's going to be late. It's going to have to be late. I'm working until like 10 o'clock Pacific. So maybe we'll do it Monday morning, Josh.
Okay.
But we'll have a reacts for the Konopiste Open.
Yeah.
Just TBD on the timing. We'll let you know in the Discord. Get yourself a subscription at discgolf.ultiworld.com/subscribe. And hey, maybe you want to get yourself a little bit of a higher level and watch some college ultimate frisbee this weekend. If you got an alma mater in the field, you can have a great time. Every single team is being streamed at the tournament, all 40 teams. So it's an awesome time to buy an all access sub and catch up on the disc golf and the ultimate. For Josh Mansfield, I'm Charlie Eisenhood saying so long, and we will talk to you on Sunday or Monday. And then, of course, we'll see you next week on Tuesday right here on the Upshot.